I'd like to call this meeting to order. May we have roll call, please, Mr. Crowdy?
Mr. Accomando?
Present.
Ms. Borelli? Present. Ms. Ainello?
Here.
Ms. Mahoney?
Here.
Mr. Quinn?
Here.
Ms. Robinson?
Here.
Ms. Roloff?
Here.
Ms. Torbeck?
Here.
Ms. Ottarelli?
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all members of the Board of Education and to the Bergen Record in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, 1975. At this time, please be advised that all cell phones and electronic devices are to be turned off. We'll go first to the Student Representatives Report.
Red light.
We hear you.
There you go.
Oh, testing? Okay. I'm Emma Piccinini. On Tuesday, September 24th, the high school held student council and class officer elections in our media center. With assistance from the borough, 3 county voting booths were on hand for over 450 students who participated. Mayor White also visited the school for the election. This year's officers are Student Council, President Emma Piccinini, Vice President Olivia Drignola, Treasurer Cassidy Q, Secretary Brook Weiland. Class of 2020, President Ashley Kalia, Vice President Caroline Probrosco, Treasurer Benjamin Kravitz, Secretary Zivistin Fidan. Class of 2021, President Sarah Miller, Vice President Mackenzie Giuliano, Treasurer Jessica DeKnight, Secretary Brook Weiland. Class of 2022, President Jaden Vicioso, Vice President Julia Benenars, Treasurer Caroline Caprellian, Secretary Lauren Lamonte, and Class of 2023, President Gianna Garjuvich, Vice President Melania Ruiz, Treasurer Samantha Apgar, and Secretary Carly Montalbano. The Guidance Department sponsored lunch and learn sessions in the Media Center period 4, 5, and 6 on October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. During the lunch period, students worked with the staff and assisted students with the Common Application, Naviance, and FAFSA forms. 14 college, university, and trade school representatives have already made visits to the high school so far this year to meet with seniors and juniors. 11 additional schools are scheduled in the next 3 weeks. Financial Aid Night will be held for parents on Monday, November 18th at 6 p.m. in the High School Media Center. All grade level parents are invited. The high school middle school marching band won 2nd place at the U.S. Bands Competition at Pequannock High School on Saturday, September 28th. 8 Saddlebrook singers will be representing Saddlebrook in the New Jersey All-State Mixed Chorus and Orchestra Concert in Atlantic City at the Convention Center Friday, November 8th at 7 p.m. and at NJPAC in Newark on Sunday, November 17th at 3 p.m. The 10th and 11th grade students, approximately 260 students, took the PSAT test today in school. The Science National Honor Society and Environmental Science Clubs have been kicked off in the return of paper recycling in the middle school and high school.
She was like, I just want her to read it. Students in Mrs. Militello's 7th grade math class are exploring how the brain learns math by participating in a free online class from Stanford University. They are learning about how a student's mindset about math can either help or hinder their success. The truth was revealed that there is no such thing as a math person and that all students have the ability to do well in math. Exposure to research about the plasticity of the brain and how it can grow and learn new information at any time is a major part of this online class. Students completed Lesson 1, Knocking Down the Myths About Math at Home. They shared their reflections about what they learned on a Google Doc and on Classroom. Below is, I don't think I need to read this. Mrs. Militello discovered this class while pursuing continuing education classes over the summer in a class that she took called Mathematical Mindsets. The middle and high school celebrated the Week of Respect from Monday, October 7th to Friday, October 11th. All students in the building were challenged to participate in daily kindness challenges in a variety of events. The Week of Respect began with FES students wearing hats to promote hats off to respect. Each day, the morning announcements focused on character tips promoting respect. These tips were all written by Franklin students. Students also decorated the hallway, blacktop landing, and ramp by kindergarten with sidewalk chalk with symbols and drawings that reflect respect and peace. Finally, students participated in a cross-grade activity that focused on all the ways to show respect at school, at home, in the community, with friends, or for oneself. Fire Prevention Week was a hit at Franklin thanks to the Saddlebrook Fire Department. Students in grades K to 2 enjoyed their time outside with the firemen exploring the fire trucks. All students enjoyed an assembly where they were reminded of the importance of checking batteries and smoke detectors and making an exit plan for their homes in case of a fire.
Okay. October has been a busy month at Smith School. Our students celebrated the Week of Respect with activities, chalk talk, upper grade reading buddies, and more. We focused on fire prevention with a school-wide assembly and fire drill with our Saddlebrook Fire Department. Our student council members are focusing on community service this year and have been busy with morning announcements, organizing a Halloween costume drive, and bringing back our jack-o'-lantern blaze later this month. Our Smith ambassadors have been busy serving as hall monitors, morning greeters, Week of Respect class readers, and work to leave kind and motivational messages across the blacktop for students during the Week of Respect. LMS students were appreciative of the Saddlebrook Fire Department for volunteering their time during our school-wide assemblies for Fire Prevention Week. Students at LMS filled one another's buckets during the Week of Respect, where the classes read the picture book, "Have you filled a bucket today?" Through this activity, the students recognized their peers for their positive interactions with others. Student council members also read positive messages about respect during the morning announcements each day. LMS will celebrate National Unity Day on October 23rd with a Chalk the Walk activity as a follow-up to an assembly program presented by Mrs. Kepani, school counselor. Students will be discussing ways to be an upstander instead of a bystander. National Unity Day coincides with other activities for School Violence Awareness Week and Red Ribbon Week. The LMS PTO is hosting a trunk or treat event on Friday, October 25th at 6:30 p.m. A huge shout out to our girls tennis team, who is currently 3-11. The team has not only doubled in the number of athletes participating this year, they have also doubled their win total in the same amount of time. Our boys and girls soccer teams and their coaches deserve to be recognized for volunteer work they do each Saturday afternoon. Each Saturday throughout the season, our players work with, assist, and help coach the Saddlebrook Township Angels program, which is made up of special needs children. Our football team is looking to get a win column this Friday night at the boys travel to North Arlington for a 7 p.m. kickoff. The team started the year playing the 3 top teams in NJIC. Regardless of the score, the boys continue to work and play hard. On November 2nd, come out to our senior recognition game. The ceremony will begin at 1:25 p.m. and will honor the senior members of the marching band, color guard, football cheer team, and football team. Our volleyball girls continue to have a strong season, competing in very tough NJIC Meadowlands division. They are currently 10-8. The girls have shown a lot of grit and poise playing some of the top teams around. The girls await their NJSIAA state seeding and will prepare for a run in the state tournament. Our girls soccer team is currently 11-3-1. They earned the number 1 seed in the NJIC soccer tournament and will play at 10 a.m. semifinal game at home versus Midland Park this Saturday, October 19th. Our boys and girls cross-country team had a really good day at Darlington Park, running in the Brett Taylor invitational, with the girls taking first place and the boys taking second. Each of our runners ran their personal best times. Please come out and support our athletic teams. Oh, I'm Summer Rossetti.
Erica Frank.
You said yours.
And I'm Emma.
Will you be back next month too?
It's like people sign up from student council to come, so like it's gonna be someone new next week.
Well, you said the
Next
bar
month.
behind, so.
Oh gosh.
They're gonna send you guys a check.
Where's my money? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh.
I said they'll be
Oh no, it's
Thank you, girls. Angelina, you're taking notes. In a couple more years, you'll be able to do that?
Okay, moving on. Can we have the superintendent's report, please?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. I have a few things I want to share with you. First, I would like to just comment on one of the things that the girls mentioned, and that is the financial aid night that takes place on Monday, November 18th. For any of the parents who are watching or who will be watching the video of this at home, I cannot emphasize enough as the parent of a college freshman just how much of a learning curve the financial aid application process was, and how much I learned from the gentleman who will be speaking here on Monday, November 18th. So we will follow up with parents and send out repeated reminders, but I can't impress upon parents enough, even if your children are as young as sophomores, to go and see the presentation, because there's just so much to be learned. It was definitely a baptism by fire. Okay, so just so that you know, we maintain an administrative calendar so that the administrative team can stay on top of the things that we do, our meetings, our trainings, the things that we work on together. And Mrs. Violetti has been great about really helping us to maintain that administrative calendar, except today she thought she was cute in eliminating a very important holiday that should have been on that calendar, as are all of the administrators' birthdays on the calendar, except for Mrs. Violetti's birthday that she neglected to put on the calendar. So I wanted to wish you a happy birthday today. And when I asked her if she would do the testing presentation tonight, she never even mentioned that it happened to fall on her birthday, and she's here like a champ. I would have had a cupcake, but okay. So we have a few things. Just wanted to let you know that Champions Enrollment is still open for the year, and we have more than 200 students who are registered for the program, so enrollment is going very well. And as we approach November, and we have some release days, and we have the half days for conferences at the end of October, and then we have things like Teachers Convention. Anytime we have a day off of school, Champions will be running full-day programs, and if we have half-days or half-day release or single session days, they will provide afternoon programs. So they will be reaching out to parents of their students to let them know what they'll be offering on those days. Tonight, after the testing presentation, the Saddlebrook Education Foundation and their membership will be sharing their very generous gifts that they will be grants that they will be presenting this evening. More than $9,000 in grants are being awarded to our teachers for classroom innovation. So I'm really grateful for all of the work that they do, and I'd like to thank the faculty and staff for supporting the foundation with their Dress Down Day on October 4th, and for all of those who came out for the walk on the 5th. As part of our district wellness goal, we are bringing in a program called Alumni in Recovery. And what this program does is it actually brings Saddlebrook alumni back to the high school. These are people who have struggled with addiction, variety of different types of addiction, to come and talk to our students during the day. And then there's a parent program in the evening. So the student program will be on October 28th. That is just for our high school students here in the auditorium. That is not open to the public. And then the evening presentation on the 29th, which is at 7 p.m., and it's here, and it is open to parents and anybody in the community or in the surrounding communities. And I also wanted to let you know, I promised them that I would let you know about their Walk to Remember. This is a walk that remembers those who have lost their lives to addiction, and it is on Sunday, October 27th in Westvale County Park in Westwood, New Jersey, for anybody who might be interested in attending that. Tonight, each one of our board members has received a copy of the book Mindset, and it's the text that we'll be reading this year as part of our collective professional development, and one of the board's goals to explore fixed versus growth mindset. On November 5th, Election Day, the students are not in, but the teachers are here for professional development. Alicia DiLorenzo will be here working with our faculty members on activities to promote connection and wellness that our staff, our faculty and staff can take back to their classrooms and their offices. I also wanted to let you know that I did attend the Meet the Candidates night last night. If for those of you who weren't there, I'm sure it's available via video. I don't know exactly where it's available because we didn't it's on YouTube? On YouTube, okay. So you can watch it. I recommend that you do. We have 6 candidates competing for 3 positions, and it was very interesting. So there were some talking points or questions that came up, and I just wanted to make sure that the community was aware of maybe some of the answers that maybe were explored in conversation last night, but weren't necessarily addressed, by me. So I want to take the time to do that. I repeatedly see parents suggesting, we need to go back to what we had before. We need to be able to offer the trades. We need to be able to go back to shop and plumbing and all that great stuff. And I don't agree that those are very important for our students. We do have programs in the county for the students, and we have multiple buses of students that travel for shared time technical programs every single day. So those programs do exist, even though they don't exist in this school. We do support those students, and we do encourage those programs, and they are in existence. But what happened was, in the early 80s or early to mid 80s, after Ronald Reagan, and he put out that the Nation at Risk paper that suggested that, America was not competing in science across the globe, and we shifted the focus of everybody will go to college now, because that's the only way America is going to compete, is that everybody will go to college. And all those technical programs were removed from many, K-12 high school programs. That's actually how the academy programs, that's about when the academy programs got started at the county level, because they minimized the funding for those programs. So now, since they've removed all those programs from the K-12 schools, and they're not giving us any funding for those programs, but they are funding them, the state and the feds are funding them at the county level. So they do exist, and they are there for the children, and I just want everybody to know that. Family and consumer science keeps coming up in conversations or talks on Facebook. Why don't we teach cooking? Why don't we teach sewing? I'm not even quite certain that state colleges are graduating teachers with certifications in family and consumer science anymore. Cooking, sewing, things like that. So even if we were to, let's say, decide we wanted to rebuild a kitchen and buy, a bunch of sewing machines, I think we'd be really hard pressed to find a teacher with the certification to teach those things. We're struggling at this point to find teachers to teach 21st century skills, and that is a certification that is available. Some questions came up about English language learners, and I've never offered this information publicly before, but I think I should so that the community knows. We currently have 43 students in our English language learner program, and that crosses all of our schools. We have English language learners in all of our schools. Gifted and talented, I did I put the flyer, the little trifold flyer in the back so that everybody could have one. We did have, Tony hosted Mrs. Violetti, hosted 2 parent presentations for gifted and talented, but we also provided the handout for you so that you can see how the program has changed and what it looks like. There are also contact phone numbers on there. If anybody has any questions specifically about gifted and talented, Mrs. Violetti or I or the principals would be happy to answer those questions for you. One of the questions that came up last night was about, the greatest challenges facing the district. Tonight, I think we're going to see a little bit of some insight into one of them, which is student achievement. That's definitely something that we're focusing on. And managing the growing needs of our students, both socially and emotionally, psychologically. There is definitely an overwhelming need to meet the needs of our students and in their mental health needs. So we have 5 district goals, and I believe 3 board goals. Those are on the tops of every agenda. So in case you forget what our goals are for the year, we do have a very specific vision and direction for the year. And I think it's important because there was conversation last night about the second question that's being posed in November, and whether or not the candidates who are running supported the second question. And I just wanted to emphasize that so many of the things that they talked about last night, all of them, and the things that they value and the things that they want to pay attention to are actually part of that second question. So for $71, the average home in Saddlebrook for $71 a year will gain, if we pass that question, we'll gain a student assistance coordinator. That is a SAC, otherwise known as a SAC counselor. That is a mental health professional that works in the district and services the needs of the students' mental health. They also provide programming for students, preventative programming for students, professional development for teachers, and help us to do our job better in serving the students. With that question, should it pass, we will also gain a world language teacher at the elementary school. That was something that came up last night, world languages. We do have Spanish at the elementary school right now, but we have 1 teacher providing Spanish instruction to 3 schools worth of children. That is not enough, in my opinion. 2 teachers isn't enough, in my opinion, but I'll settle for 2 if we can get 2, and we can split those 2 people between K to 6. The goal for world language proficiency, if some of you don't know, there is a requirement by the state that we provide world language, and that our students achieve a certain level of proficiency after they're immersed in that language for years. And we're not meeting that proficiency currently. So that's the second position. The third position that will be met with the second question is a health and physical education teacher at the middle and high school. Some of our middle and high school physical education classes are up to 40 students. And in a gymnasium, that may not seem like a lot, but when you have to pull those kids for health instruction into a classroom, it's virtually unmanageable. So that's what that third position is. The fourth is a human resources administrative assistant. For those of you who may not be aware of what the Pass the Trash law is, districts, when we hire anyone, coach, custodian, secretary, teacher, doesn't matter. We must do a comprehensive background check on that person for the past 20 years of their professional life where they were interacting with children. That means that in addition to the fingerprinting that is done and any personal references where we call on our own, we have to do a 20-year investigation. It's a lot of paperwork. It is an unfunded mandate that has been handed down to us by the state of New Jersey, and it's very difficult to manage. So that's the fourth position. The fifth position is a supervisor of elementary education. I did read, it's important to realize that at the elementary level, our principals are the only people, essentially the only administrator in the building at any given moment. So they are doing HIB investigations, they're supervising lunch, recess, being the educational leaders of the building, responding to parents, dealing with discipline, dealing with students who are having mental health crises. There is a lot that they do. A supervisor of elementary education would help to support the principals in their work and help manage the, once again, unfunded mandate of Achieve and Teach NJ, which requires additional observations every year by multiple observers. So we have many unfunded mandates that have come down over the years that we have not been able to keep up with. And the last one that did come up again at the meeting last night was the value of high-quality professional development for our staff. So if the question should pass, within that budget, we have allocated $42,000 for professional development for faculty and staff. And I will tell you that what often happens is that English teachers and math teachers get high-quality professional development every single year because it's the most important and the most, I don't want to say important, but the most frequently and publicly tested and reported areas. And that the other teachers really only get professional development when we have the money, if we have the money, when they ask for it, and if they haven't had it before. And I just don't think that that's an appropriate professional environment for our staff. I believe that they deserve better, and that did come up last night. So, although some people suggested that they weren't sure, whether or not they supported the question, I can't imagine that you couldn't support the rationale behind what we have planned within the question, and that's what $71 for the average family will get our students. For parents, I just wanted to let you know, I'll be sending out an invitation tomorrow. I'll be offering 3 different times and days, coffee with the superintendent, open agenda, where parents in the community can come and ask questions, seek clarification, share their concerns. I'm doing one on Friday, October 25th at 7:30 in the morning. I'm doing one on a Tuesday here, October 29th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then one on a Monday evening, November 4th at 7 o'clock in the evening. So I have a 7:30 a.m., a 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and a 7 p.m. on 3 different days. I will send out an invitation. I will have parents sign up. You will have to sign up to attend because you won't be able to get into the building without signing up because we're trying to keep the building safe. And I think that is the end of my report. What I would like to do, though, is, should we do testing first or grants first?
You want to do business administrators first?
Yeah, business administrator? Okay. I'm going to turn it over to Ray. Thank you.
Wait, through the chair.
Business administrators report, please. Oh.
Yeah, questions?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
On the question,
On the question.
good, better, and different, I welcome all the feedback I've been getting because I know people are now thinking about it. As we get closer to this election.
Yes.
One of the questions that just came to me today, which I don't know the answer to and I wanted to know, the $71 that we are imposing, when these people are due for raises, where is that money going to come from? Is it going to raise that $71 figure?
No, what happens is then whatever the money is that we collect becomes part of our base budget, and we can add 2% to that within our budget building.
Okay.
Yes. So it increases our base for those positions. It's not just a one, it's just not a fly-by-night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Then, Mr. Crowdy, you have the business administrator's report, please.
Okay. Just to highlight, I gave a report on October 7th, but to highlight some of the items, since we have some more people here, the question we had last November, 2018, was $450,000 for security items, and I'm happy to report that most of those items have been installed and up and running. One important item was the lockdown emergency notification system, or you might hear it called the LENS system. This actually took several years, actually almost 5 years to get. We had to do it in phases with communication through phones, speakers in all the classrooms, and the final piece is an automated emergency button, and also can be activated by every phone in the district, where it puts the school in lockdown immediately, within seconds. And it also, so you don't have to get any staff involved in making a message in the school, calling the police, 911, this does it automatically. So we tested the system on September 27th in all the buildings, and everything worked fine. We had the police department involved, and we put tests into their 911 system, and everything worked well. So I'm happy to report that that system is up and running. We have additional door access controls, not only for the exterior doors when that system is activated, it locks the doors. We have several interior doors in all the buildings being controlled by our staff fobs. Security vestibules, The doors are not installed yet. We're waiting for a date. It should be anytime soon. The building construction at Franklin and Washington was complete, but we're just waiting for the doors to get installed. And, we bought a lot of supply items, two-way radios, more shades and other supplies for security that was much needed. On our energy savings improvement program, that's winding down, but one issue we had, a pretty major issue here at the high school, was all the unit ventilators in each building, each room, which controls the heating, now also controls the air conditioning. So we're going to be removing the window units where less energy efficient. However, with this new system, there's different regulations. You have to bring in fresh air, which cause humidity issues. I'm learning a lot more about HVAC than I really wanted to. We've had many meetings. We had architects and Johnson Controls, the contractor, come in on days when the school was closed the last couple of holidays. I had an environmental consultant come in. He says we're doing everything we need to do. We actually did a wipe down of all the classrooms and cleaning on some of those days, so we are working on it. Unfortunately, though, to resolve the issue, now we're going into the heating season, and hopefully that'll go well, but, we have old pipes in the building and so forth, so it's an ongoing issue, but hopefully we'll rectify it soon, but we are working on it. And I think that concludes my items.
Thank you very much, Mr. Crowdy. Any questions? Okay, I will turn the presentations over to Superintendent.
Okay, I'm first going to invite Mrs. Sikamatelis and the foundation.
Ray, do we have a microphone for her?
You will, next. Mrs. Sikamatelis, will you please introduce your executive board to the public?
Good evening. So this is the best part of the fundraising, right? Where we get to
Go a little higher.
All the money?
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. So with me tonight is Kathy Lau, who is our treasurer, and Georgina Kulik, who is our secretary. And Linda Escobar couldn't make it tonight. We'd like to thank you for continuously supporting us. And I'm just going to get right to it. So our recipients for the grants tonight are Ms. Boys for high interest, low level books. Mr. Haas for STEM with Bloxels. Thank you. Congratulations. Oh, she said. No, but this Mr. Haas and Ms. Resnick for STEMCon. These are the stickers with the flagging. Okay. Ms. Girardi, Speech Language Technology Center. Ms. Mazzone, Flexible Seating.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Tarila, Ms. Falk, and Ms. Laurentino for the Helen I. Smith School Nature Center. I just wanted to also note that this year Pomptonian was able to serve the kale that the kids grew to everybody at the lunchroom. Yeah.
Thank you.
Here you go. Ms. Alper, Leaf Packs and Ecology. You're welcome. Congratulations. Mr. Sheldon, the study of race and ethnicity in society. Okay. Ms. Kim Ferrando, occupational therapy and sensory calming. She's a feeling. I'm going to keep you up here because there's. She also has one for reading bodies, learning minds. Thank you. Thank you. I know Ms. Stern's not here, but Ms. Laura Stern for occupational therapy and sensory calming centers. Mrs. McAvoy and Ms. Carroll for flexible seating. And Ms. Gianna Canella for flexible seating. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. Also, all the elementary schools will be receiving an assembly from Mr. Joe Romano for books The Magic is Real. So again, we thank you for supporting us, and we will continue working hard to support you back. And thank you for all you do for the kids.
I'd like to thank the foundation. For those of you who don't know the process, the teachers do have to complete an application, explain exactly how they will use the resources. There's a lot of competition for these grants, and not everybody is chosen, so being chosen is an honor. And then at the end of the year, the recipients will complete a report and submit it to the foundation to show how they used the grant. So thanks so much. So now we're going to go into Mrs. Violetti's big testing presentation. We're going to move.
What's that? All right. You're all going to be very excited I talk quickly. All right. So this is our testing presentation, our score presentation. These are the assessments that I'll be talking about this evening. I'm starting with the Access 2.0 for ELLs, our English language learners. So I'm going to start with just sharing a little bit about the process. So when a student registers in the district, one of the components of the registration is a home language survey. Based upon the answers in that home language survey, we may dig a little deeper. So if the first language spoken at home is in English, if it's not the primary language, if the primary form of communication or language of communication in the household is not English, then we might dig a little deeper and conduct a records review process.
And then we apply multiple indicators for identification. And we are the company that does access for ELLs, Access 2.0 for ELLs. They also have a screener tool, and that tool is used as part of as one of the multiple criteria indicators for criteria for entry into the ESL program. To exit the program, we establish a standard on the English Language Learner test, which is that access test. And then if they meet that standard, then the staff members that work with that student will complete an observation form, and the student may successfully exit the program and stay on monitor list. This is what the score looks like from the Access 2.0. So you can see there's 4 domains: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And then there's composites underneath it. So oral language consists of 50% listening, 50% speaking. And then if you look at the bottom left, you can see the scale from entering, and number 1, and number 6 is reaching. So this is our students last year, K to 12, so it's all of them together. And I just want to point out that for 6, reaching, you'll see a 0, because hopefully those students have already exited our ELL program and they are successful English language learners, and they've been fully immersed. So typically students that come directly from another country, they're at levels 1 and 2, and our ELL staff works diligently with our students and gets them to the 3 or 4. The standard that we're looking for in the Access 2.0 is a 4.5. So once they hit an overall score of 4.5, that's when they're considered to be successful, and we can go to the next piece of the exit criteria, which is the observation form. All right, so some new things with the testing this year. The state released new testing blueprints from last school year, and these blueprints contain everything that's on the assessment. So those acronyms underneath are simply fancy acronyms for the types of questions that are on the assessment. So you have a prose constructed response, which is a writing response. You have an evidence-based short response, which is using evidence from the text or a media form to write your answer. And then you have the technology-enhanced constructed response, which is manipulating those digital tools on the screen. The blueprints will actually list how many questions of each are in each unit, how many passages are there. They will apply the number of points. They'll let you know the number of points per question. And this is for each grade level in each subject area. So it's actually a great tool that they're releasing to us. Then the number for accountability is you need 20 students to participate, and the number for reporting is 10. So everything I'm going to share tonight, we had to have a minimum of 10 students, or 10 or more students, that took the exam. Percentages may not equal 100. I'm going to touch base upon the middle school math students, and grade 11 student assessments were optional this year by the state. Okay, so this is an example of one of the scores from the NJSLA, New Jersey Student Learning Assessment. And if you look, you'll see that there's a continuum from level 1, which is not yet meeting, to level 5, which is exceeding. And on this example, the child's score is 745. So that's actually considered not meeting, so that's approaching. To pass, passing is considered level 4 and level 5. So throughout the presentation, when we're talking about passing, a passing score, we're talking about meeting level 4 and exceeding, and we typically combine those together, level 4 and level 5. So as you can tell though, that 745 is very close to the level 4, but it's not included in that. So when we talk about the level 4 and level 5 in passing, it could mean that the score is that close. So just keep that in mind as we go through. Then it breaks apart the reading and the writing. Reading is literary text, informational text, and vocabulary. And the writing is the expression and the conventions. And we're going to go back to that at the end of the presentation, so that's why I put that up there, because it is divided. Those arrows next to those components will tell the parent how their child's doing. The up arrow is good, down arrow is not so good, and the side arrow means that they're just about par. All right, so some of these slides I'm going to go through quickly and some a little bit slower. I did post this on the school website under the curriculum and instruction page. So before you go to bed tonight, you can go through it all. All the slides are up there. It'll put you to sleep, I promise. All right, so this one is English Language Arts. We're starting with English Language Arts, and it's a 3-year span. So starting in 2017, going to 2019. It's divided into did not yet meet, or level 1, all the way to level 5. And then at the end, you can see the change in level 1 and 2, and then the change in level 4 and 5. Red is areas for growth, green are areas of excellence. Okay, so how do you read this? I'm not going to do this for every slide, I promise. The top left, grade 3 in 2017, 10% of our students did not meet. those same students, or most of those same students, the same cohort, they're in 4th grade in 2018, that went down to 8.4%. And then when they were in 5th grade, it went down to 6.4%. And that's what we want to see. Those numbers are going down, but that's a good thing because that's level 1. We want those numbers to go down. The other thing you're looking for when you're perusing this evening is you can follow it going across. So for 10th grade, 2017, 26.2% of our students did not meet, then 18.2% the next year, and in 2019, only 9.6% of our 10th grade students did not meet ELA expectations. So that's what we want to see. We want to see a decrease in levels 1 and 2. If you look over here, that's grade 5. Meeting in 2018 was 57.8%. Well, if you look at that same group, grade 4, the year before, it's 54.9%. And if you look at that same group after, in grade 6, it's 55%. So that same group of students, they kind of stayed around that mid-50 range. So they stayed consistent. If you look right underneath that, grade 6 in 2018, 48.2% met expectations of the ELA exam. If you go diagonally the following year, you'll see only 34.5% met the expectation. And then you're like, oh no, what happened? Not to worry, because if you follow it going across, you'll see 41% last year exceeded. So that's an excellent job in that grade 7 class that went from meeting to exceeding. This just shows you our trends versus the district versus the state. And again, green is where we're excellent, red is areas for growth. That 3rd grade going across, you'll see negative 2.0 and the state was negative 0.1. That's just a handful of students, maybe one student, maybe 2. Grade 9, it's purple because we did increase in levels 4 and 5, which is what we want. But the state increased a little bit higher than us, so I couldn't technically make it green, so I chose a random color. Okay, these are the slides I'm going to go through relatively quickly. Again, they are posted on the site. We also have to look at each of the schools. So at the elementary level, when we're testing grades 3 through 6, we look at our elementary schools. So something I want to point out when you're looking at these slides later this evening is that 2 of these elementary schools receive Title I funding. Title I funding is based on your percentage of free and reduced lunch students in the school. There is research that shows that socioeconomic status is directly related to student achievement. So if you take that into consideration, you'll see, so Smith School and Franklin School both have breakfast programs. So they have enough Title I students, free and reduced lunch students, that qualify for a breakfast program. So it is something to consider when you're looking at these assessments. And it's not in every slide that those are lower than the other school. So when you go through the slides tonight, you can take a look. If you look at the bottom 2 rows, district versus state, all the way to the right, the last corner, you can see how the district performed in relation to the state. And this goes through each grade area. Then we get to our little bar charts, bar graphs. So this is the percent of students that met or exceeded, so levels 4 and 5 in ELA, in literary text. And you can see, so in the first, there's only 2 bars, because those are grade 4 students this year. They took the assessment last year, but before that, they didn't take any assessment. So the bars will increase as you go up in the grades. Literary text, you see a relative increase, around the same or an increase, so we did pretty well in that area all around. Informational text, you'll see the same. Vocabulary, you might see a little dip somewhere. We're going to talk about that later. In some grade levels. Same thing with expression and writing. You see a little dip in some grade levels. And conventions. And we're going to revisit that at the end. We're going to go on to math. Are you with me? Going quickly. All right. So math is also divided. It's divided into major content, supporting content, application, and reasoning. The number of students that were tested. All right, so we're going to take a moment on this slide. So this is the same as the ELA, but it's math. So you read it the same way. So if I look at grade 7, 2018, 40% of our grade 7 students met expectations. If you go down to the next year, which was last year, 2019, now they're in grade 8, 29% met expectations. Now you're like, what happened? And if you go across, you'll see 0% exceeded. Well, what happens is our students that are really, really good in 7th grade math go to 8th grade Algebra 1, and they are included in the next row, the Algebra 1 test. So our students that are really good take the Algebra 1 assessment, and you take the assessment for the class, the course that you sit in. So whatever course you're taking, that's the assessment that you take. So they don't participate in that grade 8 test. The other thing to consider is Algebra 2, that last row. You'll see the bottom right, how great we did. Go us. We did great because the grade 11 assessments were optional. Remember I said that. So those are grade 10 honor students that took that assessment. So it is great for them, but we do need to acknowledge that that's what those scores are, but we did a really good job there. These are the trends versus the district and the state, and you can see the green is where we excelled, and the red is areas for improvement. These are the same because you have to compare each school. That bottom right corner is going to show you. So if you look at that bottom right corner, it's highlighted. So as a district, 50% passed the assessment, level 4 or level 5, and as a state, 55%. 47 and 51, so we're very close to the state in most areas. This is the major content. So this is following the same group of students across the grades. On this specific one? All right, let me breathe. Okay. All right, so when you look at that middle section, grade 3, they were in grade 6 last year when they were tested. Okay, so that's 2018-19. 2017-18, a little bit lighter, so it starts out with the darkest blue. They were in grade 5. And then the year before grade 4, the year before grade 3. So it's showing you that same group of students and how they performed in major content of mathematics going across those years. So from 2000, what? Is that 14, I think 15, 16 that started, right? So across the year. So you could see that they increased those first 3 years and then they went down that last year. And then this goes to the middle school and the high school. And you can see, relatively, we did pretty good. And then at the end, you can see all the grades going across. These are the subgroups. Okay, so we're required also to report out on the subgroups. I'm going to skip through these because I have line graphs at the end that show the subgroups. It's really interesting. These are all mandated slides. Okay, so if you look at this is the first subgroup area I want to talk about. This is the females. The purple line are females. That middle line is all students, and the bottom line are the males. So this is an ELA, and it shows that all groups have increased from 2015 to last year, and our females are surpassing the males in ELA. Had to throw that out there. It's also very similar in math, although it's a little bit closer. But there is steady increase in all 3 groups. So this is mathematics, the females the purple line, the males the bottom line, and that darker, bolder line is all students. So you can see that the females are slightly outperforming the males in mathematics as well. Challenge accepted. This is looking at the other subgroups. So this is, I'm going to just take a walk over so I can see. This is looking at, this is looking at, the darkest line on top is all the students. The purple line is free and reduced lunch. Then we have section 504. That blue line is our English language learners, and the yellow is special ed. So when you're looking at this line graph, you can see that there's been pretty systematic growth across all those subgroups. It's, steadily has increased. They all ended in 2019 at a higher level than they started in 2015. Put this back. The English language learner group, you see they kind of dip a little bit, but that's expected because that's more of a transient group. So every year, depending on the number of students that we receive that are ELL, English language learners, that number may increase or decrease. And then this is mathematics. That was ELA. This is mathematics. And same thing, not maybe as much for each subgroup, but every subgroup did end at a higher level than they started in 2015. So we do see an increase across all the subgroups. This is middle school. Same grade, different students. So I kept it consistent, meeting or exceeding the standards. So you can follow in each sub-area of the reading and writing assessment, of the English language arts assessment. So the literary, the informational, vocabulary, expression, and conventions. And you can see an increase very clear in that bar graph. We go to the elementary schools, and we see the same exact thing, the same bar graph, same students, same grade, different students, I'm sorry. Same grade, different students. And the reason why I'm showing this is because I want to talk about what we're doing at the elementary level. So you'll see that last bar for 2018-19 is slightly lower in vocabulary and writing expression and writing convention. I want to talk about that. So what are we doing as a district? That's what I want to talk about. All right, so for the reading and the writing, we have units of study for reading and writing, Teachers College, that we're making sure all our teachers that teach English language arts have it in their hands at the elementary level, and we're providing professional development for them as well. We're trying to incorporate those units of study in our curriculum as much as possible, and trying to really make it our curriculum in essence. We also have a literacy coach who comes and works with our elementary teachers, and this year she's focusing on writing workshop. And so in the past, she's focused on reading, and this year she's focusing on writing, which is really going to benefit our staff and our students, where she can talk to them about how to incorporate conventions and how to add to the expression and the voice of students within their writing. Our literacy consultant is also working on a word study program in grades 3 to 6. So the word study program is really, that's going to assist with the vocabulary piece. So with that word study program, they're really going to be taking apart the words, analyzing the words, looking at spelling patterns, looking at content and meaning. They're going to be looking at grammar, parts of speech. So it's really an all-encompassing program that they're going to be working with. This year, our K-2 teachers are in year 2 of Project Read. So this is going to be our first year with our word study program. It's definitely a learning year. So with any new program, you do have to give it 3 to 5 years to see results. This is year 2 of Project Read. Our teachers are definitely more comfortable with it. Our students are more comfortable with it. It's our phonics program in grades K-2. So it's definitely getting off to a good start this year. We also have Rti periods at the elementary schools. Those are response to intervention periods. And New Jersey Tiered Support System, that's what that acronym stands for. So what we try to do is, if you picture a triangle, the students that are in the largest section of the triangle, that's going to be your bottom tier. Those are those students that might receive enrichment during Rti period, or they might just receive continued support, whatever they need at that point. The students in the middle of the triangle, that second tier, during Rti period, they might have an extra reading group with the teacher, or an extra math group with the classroom teacher, where they're receiving an extra period of instruction during their school day. And then the students with the most need, they're in that smaller part of the triangle on top. And those are the students that may be pulled out for basic skill services in math or reading. And during Rti, there's not any new instruction, so they're not missing any instruction when they're being pulled out. To breathe. All right, leveled literacy intervention. Those are LLI kits. Every elementary school has received LLI kits at this point. So the reading basic skills teacher is working right this week. They were actually at PD, professional development, in having instruction on how to utilize these LLI kits the best way that we can. In mathematics, we expanded connected math to grade 8. This past year, we're seeing success with it. So, and our teachers continue to attend Conquer Mathematics professional development to support them with that instruction. And we're continuing with Go Math at the elementary schools. We are also trying to utilize the online platform. So Go Math has a Think Central online platform. There's personal math trainers involved with that. So that's one of the things my office has been working on, is getting every student set up with that account and training the teachers in how to use it. It's coming soon. We have, at the elementary schools, departmentalization of 5th and 6th grade. So now we have ELA teachers and math teachers. So when you teach it more times throughout the day, you get better at it. Practice always, makes you improve. So they will become masters in those fields. The online resources that go with our curricular programs, we're trying to utilize them as much as possible. And the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment Resource Center. I went on this morning, and they actually changed the name. So up until now, it was always Park. They finally changed it. They updated it with current resources. So they are really putting a lot of information out there for the schools. We have an increase with the inclusion classes in the district, and we provided professional development for our teachers with that as well. So that enables our students that are special education students to have an opportunity to learn with their general ed peers, and they receive the same instruction in the same classroom with the supports that they need. we have a benchmarking tool that we are starting. What is benchmarking? Benchmarking is when you're assessing students, typically 3 times throughout the year. This specific one is an online assessment tool. And when you do it in the fall, you're not looking for mastery. So we did not do it yet. We are starting it shortly. You're not looking for mastery because they're not expected to master the standards in the fall. The mastery is not expected to the end of the school year. So students in grades K to 12 will take a reading and math assessment 3 times out of the year. Why? It provides the teacher with specific feedback on the student. So a teacher can look at their class and see overall where the class is struggling. So if more than half the students didn't get the one question right that applies, each question is aligned with the standards. So they can take a look and see, my entire class struggled with the standard, I need to spend more time on it. Or they can see my entire class, more than half my class did really well in the standard. I'm not going to spend as much time on it. They can look at specific students, so it'll help during the Rti period, so they can see specifically what their students need to work on. So there's a lot of good information that is supplied that goes along with this benchmarking tool, and the goal is to see progress across those 3 times. No, it's okay. I'll keep on going. Going strong. I have cake tonight. Okay. Digital item library. The New Jersey Department of Education also released a digital item library. It is up and running. Every teacher can access it. It'll have all questions that mimic the test questions, another resource for teachers to use in their class. We are conducting a review of our curriculum and going to start working on creating pacing calendars for the subject areas. And this is really going to help, especially in a subject like math. That's an easy one to use, to make sure that we are all staying on pace following that pacing calendar. So when we get to the assessment, we make sure that we covered what we needed to cover. And then we're not spending too long on one standard. We did send a team, the district sent a team to a social emotional learning conference. It is one of our initiatives this year. It's nothing new, it's actually been around forever. And the conference really supplied a lot of research in how SEL, social emotional learning, is really related, directly related to student achievement and student growth. So it's really interesting to see, and we're excited to implement some of those resources in the near future. We are also making a concerted effort to really include ELL staff and special ed staff in professional development. And this is important because sometimes they are forgotten about, and then they don't receive the same professional development in the curricular resources that our other teachers are receiving. And this will only benefit the students because then they can help with, transitioning the student back to the general ed classroom, making sure that the student's able to really stay up to par with the same standards. So if we train our special ed staff and ELL staff the same way we're training our general ed teachers, it'll really help support our students. There is an effort to increase the ELL participation in the school community because everyone knows if we are immersed in the language, you learn it better. And time. We all need time. So the Pearson actually releases evidence statement tables. They're amazing if you have time to go through them all. You can see every single student, every single question that they got right, every single question they got wrong, every single standard that's matched to that question, and you can really take a look at your curriculum, create your curriculum off of that. There's so much you could do with it, and you just need time to do it. So that's something else we have to work on. The state has also this year, with the cover letter that went home with the student reports, the individual student score reports, this was also included. There's an online tool, a parent portal, where they can log in and you put in that number and you'll get your child's scale score, you'll get resources. There's a video score report that comes in the top 5 languages, and you can also track your child's score beginning this year. So if your child is in 3rd grade, you can track their score 2019 moving forward. So beginning 2019 and moving forward, instead of searching in your attic for all past score reports. They also updated the graduation requirements. So this is important too, because previously students needed to pass the Algebra 1 NJSLA in order to graduate. But if you look in the second section, they created a lot more ways, so different pathways. So now if the Geometry NJSLA 725 or higher, Algebra 2 NJSLA 725 or higher. Then they also included SAT scores, PSAT scores, ACT scores. So you could see that second pathway, they revised it to make it a lot more accessible for students to graduate. All right, other assessments. So the dynamic learning maps. That is for students that have significant cognitive disabilities. And And you need to prove that they have significant cognitive disabilities. And they have an alternate assessment. It's a dynamic learning map. That is what the school report looks like. And in order to have the DLM, you need to receive that intensive or extensive direct one-on-one instruction daily with your teacher. And you need to have like adaptive resources that you use, and you need to be able to prove that. So we don't have 10 students in the district that have taken that assessment, so we are not reporting on that. Underneath that, you see the advanced placement exams. Those are for students in the AP courses. We also don't have more than 10 students taking one exam, so we're not reporting on that either, but it is out there. They did take it. We do have the scores. And then the NJSLA science assessment, students in grades 5, 8, and 11 did take, but the results have not been released yet. So we are unable to report on those. That'll be for another fun night. I know. I did it. Quicker than you wanted me to, but I did it. It is posted on the website. There's like 60 slides there. Go through it tonight. Look at those numbers. Crunch those numbers. And it really is interesting when you do take a really close look at it. So it's nice. And we'll try our best to review it as a staff as well. Thank you. Thank you. I am going to go home.
Maybe you could allow, we'll go back to our seats if they have any questions.
Sure, absolutely.
I'd like to thank Tony for that. I have said to her that I've been doing testing reports for probably 13 years. They're the bane of the curriculum directors.
There's no way to make it fun.
No, there's no way to make it fun. And as you can see, we have great gains that we need to make. You know, in the event that, I recognize that we're not going to have 100% proficiency. You know, we may not even see 90% proficiency. Some of the highest performing districts in the state don't see 90% proficiency. However, we should always be exceeding the state average because we're not just an average community. Socioeconomically, we should be exceeding the state average. And most importantly, we should always see growth. So I don't look at a fourth grade group and say, fourth grade over the past 4 years has not increased every single year, although they should. But fourth graders who move to fifth grade, who move to sixth grade, who move to seventh grade, should at least maintain their achievement, if not exceed their achievement from the year prior. So to me, that's what we look at. We look at the growth, we look at the students that you receive in your classroom, what can you do with them? And so that's always our focus. Deep dives into writer's notebooks this year is a huge focus. And for us as an administrative team, in addition to the health and wellness of our students, which is critical because they won't learn anything unless they're well, their student achievement is paramount to our work. And it really consumes almost all of our conversation as an administrative team. So.
And as you can see, the district really has a lot that we're working on, and the staff is really doing a lot as well, working really hard, and we're going to get there.
Yeah. So I guess we'll open the floor to any questions from the board, comments, anything you'd like to ask Mrs. Violetti?
I would just like to thank you. You did an excellent job.
Thank you.
With the presentation, and it's wonderful having you in the new position.
Thank you.
We are looking forward to awesome things from you.
I'm excited. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mrs. Shanley.
Thank you.
Okay. Can I have a motion to go into open to the public comment?
Second. Testing questions first.
Does anybody have any questions before I read this long statement, either for comments on the board or for the curriculum director? Nobody? Okay.
You're dismissed.
Thank you all. Thank you for coming.
Seeing none, motion to not go into public comment. Yeah.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, may I have a motion to go into closed session?
Short recess.
Recess to close executive session to discuss personnel, HIB investigations, contract negotiations, and student matter per NJSA 10-4-6, the Open Public Meeting Act. The subject matter may be discussed, may be disclosed to the public if and when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Action will be taken when the board reconvenes in open session. This will probably last about 20 minutes.
I don't think it's going to be that long.
Okay. Our superintendent is very optimistic. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Do we need to roll call? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
If I oppose, can I not?
All right, we'll be back in hopefully 20 minutes or less.
Congratulations, everyone who got a scholarship tonight, or an award, or whatever you want to call it. Since there's only like 3 people here, can we go back into that room and invite them in? I forgot my blankie. Oh, I'm freezing. Oh, you would think so. Where's Angelina? My Angelina.
Too cold in here back.
Michelle, you know where you're going now?
I actually went to recess before.
I know.
And then I was like, I bet you didn't remember.
And then I called you.
Oh, okay, I'm fine.
We love you.
I almost cried.
Why would you cry? Why didn't you just walk out with us?
Okay.
May I have a motion to reconvene in public, please? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, moving right along to board action items.
Before you take action, on B50, I know the board minutes are stated there, but for the public, it's August 28th. There's a closed session and then a regular meeting. September 16th caucus meeting and a closed session, and September 18th the regular meeting, so that's not on the public's agenda. And then B52, we have item number 1 is finding is a non-HIB.
No.
No, that one's a HIB.
One is hip.
One is HIB.
2 is okay,
2 is a non-HIB.
3 is a
3 is a HIB.
HIB.
1 yes, 2 no, 3 yes, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Yes, okay. Sorry.
Okay, can I have a motion for board action items, B50 through B53?
Motion.
Second.
Are there any questions or discussion concerning this? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Karati?
Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Roloff?
Yes.
Ms. Torbic?
Yes.
Ms. Zattarelli?
Yes to everything but abstaining on B52, 1 and 2 only, and yes to 3. I wasn't here for the closed session.
Mr. Accomando?
I'm going to abstain from B50, just August 28th. I was not here. And yes to everything else.
Ms. Borelli?
Yes.
Ms. Ianello?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes. Ms. Torbic, would you like to do education curriculum, please?
At the recommendation of the superintendent, I make a motion to approve the following items, E58 through E60. Any questions?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Karati?
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Roloff? Ms. Torbic?
Yes.
Ms. Zattarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Accomando?
Yes.
Ms. Borelli?
Yes.
Ms. Ianello?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes. Ms. Robinson, finance, budget, and facilities, please?
At the recommendation of the superintendent, I make a motion to approve the following items, F-185, the revised, through F-210.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Karati?
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Roloff?
Yes.
Ms. Torbic?
Yes.
Ms. Zattarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Accomando?
Yes, I have a question on F207. What's that?
I'm sorry, which one was that?
F207, is that new or? Was it bold? Sorry.
So it's new because it wasn't completed before our caucus session. This is the technology contract, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so this is the technology contract. This is the one where this organization was providing us with technology services that included Mike Mayer. And then we discussed making Mike Mayer an employee of Saddlebrook.
Yeah.
And then we had to renegotiate the contract without his services in it. So this is the revised contract, which allows Mike to then begin his role here November 1st.
Okay. Yes.
Ms. Borelli?
Yes.
Ms. Ianello?
Yes, all, but I'm going to abstain from F-185. And in item number F-203, I'm going to abstain from check number 5468, 5789.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes. Ms. Mahoney, policy, please?
All right. At the recommendation of the superintendent, I make a motion to approve the following items. We have a bunch of policies. This is the first reading on the policies, starting with P1642 and going through P9400.
Second?
Anybody have questions on any of the policies?
Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Karati?
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Roloff?
Yes.
Ms. Torbic?
Yes.
Ms. Zattarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Accomando?
Yes.
Ms. Borelli?
Yes.
Ms. Ianello?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes. Ms. Zattarelli, negotiations, please?
At the recommendation of the superintendent, I make a motion to approve items number N10.
Second.
Are there any questions?
Through the chair, are the conflicted members allowed, are we allowed to vote on?
Which?
Yes.
Yes, oh.
We passed that doctrine
okay.
when we did the contract, so that covers this.
Good question.
Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Karati?
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Roloff? Ms. Torbic?
Yes.
Ms. Zattarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Accomando?
Yes.
Ms. Borelli?
Yes.
Ms. Ianello?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes. Mr. Accomando, personnel, please.
Okay, unfortunately, I didn't finish the meeting, so I remember I had to leave early, pick my son up. But at the recommendation of the superintendent, I make a motion to approve the following items, 163 to... Is that it? Oh, geez.
414.
P414.
Because the first one's a revision from a former, it's a revision from a former agenda, so the number's lower.
P414.
Right.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Questions?
Yeah.
Mr. Crotty, do you want to?
Address 404.
Yes. Sorry. Where's my numbers? Sorry. Okay, number 404 will be revised. Number 1, Nicholas Milan, the rate will be $55.72. Number 2, Robin Rose, 62.02. And we're adding 3 more. Number 3 will be James Garvey, $55.72. Number 4 will be Ann Hazley, $63.37. And number 5, Nicole Napolitano, $53.95.
I'm sorry, what was that last number?
53.95.
Thank you.
So just if the one, the motion second, agree for the revised action, since I didn't read it first, just you have to say yes to the revised action. That was Mr. Accomando and somebody over here.
Do motion for the revised action?
Motion.
Second.
364.
Any other questions, discussions concerning?
Through the chair. Like I said, I wasn't here to finish it all, unfortunately, so I'm going to abstain from all of this. But I have a question as far as the merits are in here?
Yeah. Yes. P364.
All right.
No, P389.
Like I said, I'm going to abstain, but where, for the merits, where does the money come from that? From the budget? Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, Mr. Crotty, roll call, please.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes, but I'll be, excuse me, abstaining from P404.
Ms. Roloff? I didn't hear it. Ms. Roloff?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Ms. Torbeck?
Yes.
Ms. Ottarelli?
Yes to all except for P389 and 390. I'm sure they were discussed, but I wasn't there, so I have to abstain. And if they weren't, let me know, and I'll change my vote.
I'm sorry, you said 389 and 390?
Yes.
Mr.
Because I wasn't there.
Okay. Mr. Accomando?
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, I had to leave, so I'm going to abstain also.
Abstain on
160, what?
all the items?
Yes,
All the
please.
personnel items? Okay. Ms. Borelli?
Yes.
Ms. Ainello?
Yes, all, except for I'm going to be abstaining from items P163, P389, and P399.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
So all items passed with all the abstentions and everything.
Thank you. Do we have any additional committee reports tonight?
Are you? Oh, I'm sorry, no, I don't. Not a committee, I'll check with the next one.
Seeing none, do we have any liaison reports tonight?
Now I do.
There we go.
Okay. For the PTO, the middle school, high school PTO membership is up, so.
Yay.
I'm very excited to report that. Last year, the total membership was 45 families. This year, we are currently up to 132 families. Wow. So I would like to thank the families who have joined already, and I would like to encourage the families who have not joined. And also to let you know that the next meeting is November 18th here, after the board meeting, right in the auditorium. So hopefully you can come in.
So that's a busy night. Because we have the financial aid presentation at 6, then we have our caucus, and when we go into caucus, then the PTO will be having its meeting. So it's a great night for people to come out.
I agree.
And I also want to extend thanks to Mr. Hill, who has been the faculty liaison at the middle school, high school, and really putting the squeeze on everybody, make sure that they join the PTO. It's just sometimes people forget, and I think they're also accepting payment via PayPal this year.
Yes, they
and I
are.
think that really has helped the membership and make it easier, because you could just do it on your phone.
It was very easy, that's how I did it, so I'm very happy.
Mrs. Lamboy and her team are working very hard.
They do a great job, and all of the monies go back to help
Right
out
to
the
the kids.
students and the teachers. They do wonderful things. And one of the biggest things they do is giving a scholarship to a student. You have to be in good standing with them, so you want to join for that little benefit. So I would suggest it.
I just have one question. I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. Is that district-wide PTO, is that, or just one school?
Well, this was for the middle school, high school
Oh,
students.
wow.
That's a good number.
That's real? I thought it was a district.
The elementary just tends to be more involved because of the nature of the age of the kids and the involvement of the parents. And so for middle and high school, it's normal and natural in all places for enrollment to drop off. There's more fun in the younger grades. Yeah, it's more fun in the younger grades, but
It's a great number, and I'm very happy that the parents have gotten more involved, but there's like 800 families in the middle school, high school,
so we have work to do.
We have work to do. Although a lot of the teachers have joined this year, which they didn't last year, so I'm very thankful to the teachers and the administration that also participated. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other under liaison reports?
Through the chair, I'm not the township liaison, but I was at the township meeting. And I would just like to share that, I'm sure everyone knows, but just in case, the mayor did, in no uncertain terms, say that there were extra crossing guards put on all of those key spots where the busing situation took place. So for people who do not know, crossing guards have been put there. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Also, under the township liaisons, we were going to have a meeting with the township last week. Unfortunately, that had to be postponed. We will hopefully be having one in the next week or two, and hopefully have a report for you next meeting. Any correspondence? Old business?
Through the chair, I just realized I forgot, for the question I asked you, Ms. Shanley, with the discount for the multi-children, remember, for pre-K and stuff? Is there a multi-family discount for more than one child or employee?
I regret that I did not get that answer for you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll email you tomorrow.
Okay.
My apologies.
It's okay. Thank you.
I thought maybe myself was like tomorrow. I'm sorry.
I just have two items.
Thank you.
The school board, whoever's attending the school board has a yellow folder packet there with information for next week with your reservations and et cetera. I have mentioned last time you should get that app on your phone. It has a good information on there for not just the programs, but just general information with transportation, et cetera. On October 28th, we're going to be having our committee meetings, to remind you. We're starting 5 o'clock with policy, but then we're breaking at 6 to have a training session with New Jersey school boards. We'll probably do it in room 127 from 6 to between 7 and 7:30. Then after that, we'll continue with our Budget Finance Facility Committee meeting. October 28th. So policy at 5, the board meeting at 6, And budget finance, say around 7:30-ish. That's it.
Thank you very much. With that note, they do offer a workshop on strategic planning down at the convention. Seeing that that is something that we're hoping to be moving into this spring, anybody that can fit that into the schedule, I highly recommend it. I was there a couple years ago, and I will be repeating it. It's an excellent workshop, and it will give you a great idea about what we're about to undertake.
Through the chair, what day is it on? Because I do not
know.
understand it.
You'll have to look at the schedule.
I didn't see it.
Any new business? May I have a motion to open the meeting to the public for comments?
So moved.
Second. Before I read this nice long speech, is there anybody that would like to comment tonight? Okay, I thought maybe.
Let us not twist your arm.
All in favor, open to public? Any opposed? Residents are required to state their names, addresses, and subject matter. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 45 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement by a participant to 5 minutes duration. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered, and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in the light of legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments, and be aware that they are legally responsible and liable for those comments. You're open.
Jerry Taylor, 318 Shepherds Avenue, Saddlebrook, New Jersey. Former board member for 13 years. Right off the bat, in the work session, you had a coach listed on the agenda for basketball and softball, but I don't see him here tonight. I thought he was up to be hired. Any reason why he's not there now? Did something happen between last week and this week?
I don't know who the coach is that you're referring to.
I'm not going to mention names, but he's the head basketball and head softball coach.
I thought that was approved in September. Head basketball, I believe the head basketball and softball coach was approved in September. I don't have my September agenda.
Yes.
September.
All right, and with that being said, since he was hired, was there a background check?
Background checks were done. First of all, we do reference checks on everybody that we hire, and then after people are appointed, they go through the pass the trash process and the fingerprinting, which is state required for every employee, regardless of the services they
Okay.
provide.
It was item number P388,
P388 on September's agenda.
September 18th.
Like I said, I saw his name there, but I don't see it now. And it was listed with everybody else, because what I thought was strange was you're voting on all your fall sports, but meanwhile, he's being listed as softball.
That's because we have a softball spring trip that takes place, and
Yeah, they go to Disney every year, yeah.
we need the coach in place to plan that trip.
Okay.
I believe we did that for cheerleading too.
Yeah. Can you tell me what time of the year is usually the budget worked on, like for this coming year?
We start working on it internally as an administrative team in December. And then usually we're sending drafts to the county office in February and March, and then presenting to the public in April.
Now,
Stop me if I'm wrong, Ray.
Oh, you're good.
Okay.
now, the office personnel, are they unionized?
We have some secretaries who are part of
So they have a contract?
contracted bargaining unit, and some who are individual contracts.
individual being that they're
They're not part of the
evaluated,
bargaining unit.
they're evaluated every year by their superior?
Yes. Everybody's evaluated every year by their superior.
Okay, all right. Ray, is there still the 2% cap year over year? Or was that lifted when Murphy took over?
No, it's still 2% on the tax levy.
Okay, all right. And speaking of the tax, you have $71 on an average house. What is that, what number is that based on?
Is it 385?
The number average house was...
On the average house.
For 2019 was $343,000.
Show me a house that's $340,000 in Saddlebrook, really.
Well, that
Half your houses are doubling that.
number is given to us by the...
Yeah, that's what they use, and that's what everybody puts out, that's the numbers the town uses when they're doing the taxes.
Okay, so back to the office personnel, we'll call them. So they are evaluated by, shall I say, the superintendent evaluates her group.
Yep.
Principals evaluate their group in each school.
Ray
correct?
evaluates his group, yep.
Okay, and you evaluate Ray, right?
Yes.
Okay. With that being said, who decide, or how is it decided how much of a raise they get year over year?
We have conversations during the budget planning process. We usually use so for example, if we're looking at the individual secretaries, we look at what the secretaries in the collective bargaining agreement got as a guide, and then we discuss in closed session what we want to offer anybody who has an individual contract. We do have multiple people in district who have individual contracts. We have a trainer, we have a data coordinator, someone like Mike's going to have an individual contract. So people who are not in we have a conversation in closed session, and we go over that.
Okay. All right, with that then, can you explain to me how from 1819 to 1920, some of the office personnel, we'll call them, got raises from 6% to 18%?
So, in some cases, you are, even with the teachers or with the administrators, you are trying to provide some level of parity. And you have people who have been hired years past by different people who are hired with different philosophies, but you have people who are essentially doing the same job and aren't being fairly or in some form of parity compensated.
Oh, I understand the parity part of it, but you, in this year's budget, you took away busing for the students, saying that it cost $100,000, you could not afford it. But meanwhile, you're giving out raises at 18%. I'm working for the wrong company. I should be working for the school board, because I would love to get an 18% raise. All right? I could understand taking that 18% and doing spreading it over a couple of years, but doing a lump sum of 18% is not the right way to do the things. You could do whatever you want, but it's just, to me, and I'm sure to the people that probably don't even know about it, 18% raise from one year to the next. What happens next year? Is she going to get another 18% on top of that? I understand the evaluation part of it, and I understand the parity, but when they're up here already, there's no reason to get another 18%. Then I won't either.
Sometimes it has to do with increases in workload. I mean, you have the state coming in and telling you now you have to do X, Y, Z, and you have the same number of people doing X, Y, Z, and now they have increased workload, or have to have longer days, or whatever, then they should be compensated. And like I said, we don't make any of these decisions in isolation. We make the decisions in collaboration with the board. The board has been supportive for whatever reasons we've provided regarding those specific.
Okay.
Sometimes 18% on a salary, that's not a high salary, may seem like a lot, but it may not necessarily be that much.
Well, it's, yes, and the two people that I'm thinking of, one is lower, but the other one, it's a substantial amount. 1819, it was budgeted for a director of curriculum. Was that filled? But last year, was it filled?
In 1819, it was not filled because we didn't find the right person.
So what happened to the money that it was budgeted for?
We spent it on special education.
Okay.
And
But,
that's one of the reasons why we couldn't afford to fill it. Going into September of 1819, the summer that I first arrived here, we were $500,000 in the hole before school started with new enrollment. We had very extensive special education.
oh yeah, special ed will kill every board.
And so when, after that, and then not finding the right person and not wanting to just fill a position and knowing we need the money, we just made a decision not to fill it. It was a difficult year, not having a director of curriculum, you know, we had to deal with it.
And you also, last year, you had a community programs director?
Yeah.
What is that job description?
That person ran the before and after.
Okay.
And then there was a secretary for that position as well.
So I see by today what you guys voted on, that there's, you outsourced the data technology.
We have been outsourcing the data technology. What we did was renegotiate the package so that our outsourcing is actually smaller, so that we can have an internal person who works directly for us. Because years prior, all of the data technology people were outsourced, but we see the benefit of having someone who works for us and not in the outside service. So we reduced our package with the outside service so that we could compensate for it.
And that gentleman was the Mike that you talked, well, him. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that.
Just so you know, whenever you say his name in public, he gets the biggest applause of anybody in the district.
Well, that's, we got a standing room only right now. Now, with that being said, you have in this year's budget, you have somebody listed as a data technology director.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're outsourcing,
Data coordinator, no, so Mike is now the
well, I'm saying data, is it
specialist.
data technology?
Right.
That's what it's listed as.
Okay. In this year's budget.
Correct.
You mean in 1920's budget? I don't have, I have a data coordinator,
Male or female?
female.
Yes.
That's a data coordinator. Okay, so that's not a although she's great at technology, that person.
But it says data technology. And
Okay, so
maybe
I'll
it's-
explain to you why.
Maybe
I'll explain to you
we're
why.
talking
It
two
might have been a
different-
state title in the budget program.
Yeah, in the budget program, you can only have certain titles. So what the data coordinator does, technically, our data coordinator, is she manages the student information system, our Genesis, all of our student uploads, our park. She works with Mike on our park data uploads. She submits all reporting. Some of this used to be done by the company that we had on the outside. One of the gentlemen who worked there used to do this for us. She does it all for us now. So it is a full-time, comprehensive job. She does all of the state New Jersey Smart reporting and manages Genesis, the website, and registration, a lot.
So she basically finalizes all the papers that, all the
No, not-
registration and stuff like that.
Well, here's the thing, when you
she's-
register a child,
Right.
you have to then link that child to a variety of markers as per the state. It's tedious, it's time-consuming, and it needs to be accurate. When I first came here, most of the reports that we were submitting to the state, we were submitting with errors. Just below the threshold that was allowable, now we're submitting all of our work clean. She manages ELL, entrance and exit data, BSI, entrance and exit data, all of the very important reporting that we do.
Okay. Now, we're going to talk, last but not least, the busing issue. Back in the work session, you told me, you stated that on the 28th of August, that you guys had a board training in the morning.
Our retreat, yes.
Okay.
And training, yes.
All right, so training in the morning with a 1:30 afternoon meeting, right? Now, can you tell me who made the decision to have the 1:30 meeting versus having it at 7 o'clock that night? at your normal time?
Well, we collectively, as a board, we worked with New Jersey school boards to find out their availability, and we schedule the time. The year prior, I believe we also had an afternoon meeting. We did the retreat in the morning and the afternoon meeting.
That is correct,
It's
and I
my
believe the year before that as well.
That the year before that, before I was here, that was what had taken place. So this is now, as far as I understand, at least the third year in a row where we did it that way.
Fourth, I think.
Fourth?
I think so.
Fourth. And
Yeah.
often, Mr. Taylor, you'll see, this is what our meetings look like. So
Oh, I know.
scheduling a meeting.
Until something comes up and then
Right.
standing
So
room
scheduling a
only.
meeting at the end of a retreat in the middle of the summer usually is not an imposition on anyone except the board and the administrative team, who's...
But that meeting then turned into an important meeting because of the busing. All right?
Okay, but-
It wasn't specifically for the busing,
Correct.
but the busing got brought up, and in my opinion, it should have been, or should have had another meeting at the normal time, so this way, the people that the busing is affecting can actually get up there and voice their opinions about it. And the board would be able to, hear them.
Thank you.
I never, in my 13 years, never had, any kind of training that we had was always what Ray just said, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night, whether it's school boards or mandated training. Most people work. God bless, you could all make it, but I couldn't make it.
Most of our board members work too, and
Right,
they're making
but
the sacrifice
that's-
to be there.
Yeah, but some people just can't do that.
So we try to do it when everybody can make it, because...
So
it's
what
important.
should have happened was, with the busing, should have been tabled and have a special meeting just for that.
May I jump in for a second? There was nothing on the agenda regarding busing in the August. There was a chance for the public to speak, and many did, at the June meeting.
And April and May, when the
And April and May,
policy was passed.
when the policy was done. So the public did have opportunities. The meeting in August had been planned months in advance. There
So
was nothing
if
on
the
the
meeting-
busing.
if
It
the
is
meeting in
usually just
August-
taking care of
Right, but
regular summer stuff.
But I'm just saying, you're saying now the meeting in August was well-planned. How then does how does the word get out that they're going to talk about busing?
We
that
weren't
people-
going to.
That people in turn show up for it?
So
My wife on a lunch comes out of district to talk about it because it affects my 4 grandkids.
So when we planned the board retreat in the spring for August, that was not even part of the conversation because that wasn't on our agenda or part of our work for that day. So I hear what you're saying. We had no intention of, when we planned it in the spring for that day and booked the representative from New Jersey school boards to come in, had no idea what people were going to want to talk about in the public at that time, especially since, in general, our public sessions look like this.
Oh, yeah,
So we were not trying to not be accommodating for parents. What I was trying to do was be accommodating for our board members so that they could all be there and be part of the board retreat and the goal setting. I don't know if you've always done public meetings with goal setting before. I don't know what transpired. It's a recommendation from New Jersey school boards that you do it that way, and that was why we did it.
But seeing the reaction of the busing, as the president, should have scheduled another meeting at 7 o'clock. This way people can talk about it. You basically shut the people up by by scheduling it or talking about it on the 1:30 meeting. If, my opinion, and this is only my opinion, if the busing was being discussed, you had the mayor here, you had other people here, should have just said, let's reschedule another meeting, make it a special meeting. And this way you could talk about the busing and the parents that are being affected can voice their opinion.
I appreciate your feedback, and it is noted, and the board and I, we will discuss our planning for next summer. But generally, when you schedule a special meeting, you're scheduling a special meeting because you have action to take, and there was no action to take. So to schedule a special meeting...
So it was a done deal no matter what?
The deal had been done when the policy was approved in the spring. We had 2 readings of the policy, and that was when the change was made, and it was during the budgetary planning process.
So with that being said, after the meeting, I know the mayor got up and talked about the busing and this and that. Did you or anyone on your staff talk to the mayor about busing
Yes.
after that?
Yes, I actually reached out to the mayor, I don't know if it was the day after or the day after that. We had scheduled a meeting in person for the following Monday, I believe. Unfortunately, the mayor couldn't make that meeting on Monday. He called into the office and he asked, instead of having the meeting in person, because Mr. Karati and I speak to him on the phone, and that's what we did. So I scheduled a meeting with the mayor. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. We had a conversation on the phone. He proposed the privatization of busing. We talked about all of our options, and once he realized that the best that we could do at that point was to provide the extra crossing guards, and that's what we did.
So the privatization wouldn't have worked for the parents?
It wouldn't, well,
Now,
At that
when I
time-
say private, I mean the parents taking the sum of X amount of dollars for the bus to be put in place.
that wasn't what the mayor wasn't offering for the parents to pay for the busing. He was suggesting that if he knew people who, if he could get us a private bus,
Right.
you know, how would that work? And we said it wasn't a bus, it was more than one bus. I don't think he realized at that time, maybe the full scope of what the proposal was going to entail, getting bids, the time it was going to take to secure the routes, all that kind of stuff.
Right, because I know there
But school was starting a week later, so the solution,
Right.
so at that time, he said, okay, then we'll just put the guards there and we're gonna track to see what kind of traffic we have, how many kids are actually walking, and we'll assess the situation in a little while. So we did speak,
What are you going to assess the situation for?
to see what kind of traffic there was, to see where people were actually walking, were they going to actually be driving? Some people say, well, I'm going to have to walk, but then found routes and friends and wound
Well,
up driving.
maybe I could be wrong, but weren't we talking about one bus going,
It's more than one bus, it was 79 students.
going
more than
to,
one- more than
well,
one
going
bus.
to, it's not over, it's on the border of, what is it, 2 miles? Is that what, is that
over-
the distance?
The policy and the code, the New Jersey law is over 2 miles.
Is over 2 miles,
So it was 79 students. So more
79.
than one bus.
okay. Because it's my understanding that there was an offer for a bus company to come in to do that for a price.
I didn't speak to any bus company that made me.
I know you didn't, but I'm just saying that I know of somebody from the town spoke to somebody.
Nobody's called me with an offer to provide any sort of busing. The only person that I spoke to about this was the mayor and the business administrator at the town. Mr. Karati spoke with the business administrator.
Okay, all right. And again, to stress to the board, I just find it irresponsible, shall we say? No, not the right word. That, all the 79 students being affected by no busing, now their parents have to change their schedule to get them to the school, whether they're walking or driving, either or. You got kids that are gonna have to cross the railroad tracks. Now, I know Bobby, the mayor, in turn, I'm sure, put crossing guards in the busy sections, but it just disrupts everything. And meanwhile, you say you can't afford the $100,000 for the busing. Meanwhile, now you're voting on, yes, it's contractual merits, but you have other positions where you have retirements and you don't fill. You have money there. You had the 120 from, or let's say 100,000 for the curriculum director. That was there, all right, but you used it on the special ed. I just, and this is only my opinion, I just think it's not right. It's not right to give up the busing for the kids themselves. Busing's always been there. It's just, hopefully, God forbid, nothing happens to a kid walking to school, because that in turn will come back and, shall they say, kick you in the butt, back to the board, because that'd be the first place I could go to if I was a parent. and something happened to my child going to school. With that being said, and I spoke to Sylvia, you weren't here at the work session, that the board, if you disagree with what the superintendent's proposing and you do vote, you can say no.
They
It is
do.
your right to say no,
They do.
all right? But meanwhile, everything goes 9-0.
No, it doesn't.
So it's, well, and when I said that at the work session, nothing was said.
Well,
I know you weren't there. I know.
the board,
I vote my conscience.
yes.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the way, you're up there for, to represent the township people,
All due respect, if you came to more meetings, you would know that some of us vote no, and it's not always a 9-0. All I'm gonna say.
Well, like I said, and as far as, the second question goes, you're asking for a lot from the people. You got it, mostly it's a senior town, and, they're on a fixed income.
Well, we have 1,900
You know.
students in this district, and I'm hoping that the parents can recognize the value of what we're talking about. You were sitting here for the testing presentation tonight.
Oh, yes.
We have tremendous needs in this district. We have tremendous social and emotional needs for our students, and we have
Every district has.
great academic needs.
Every district goes through that, but
Yes,
as far as
but some districts have resources that we do not currently have. A SAC counselor for one of them. I do not know another comprehensive K-12 district that does not have a SAC counselor with mental health counseling in the schools. It's very important. We're not meeting the needs of the children in the areas that QSAC assesses us on. I don't know if they had QSAC when you were here, or if it was
Absolutely.
whatever it was called at that time.
No, it was QSAC.
But they have demands that they are making of us, and we are not meeting them. We risk failing for program if we do not get our student achievement up. It's really just not about yeah, they're growing, it's great. If you're not meeting 80% proficiency, and I don't know if you saw 80% proficiency on any of those slides, we have tremendous needs in this district, and I'm really hoping that the parents recognize the needs and they recognize the hard work that we're doing for the kids. And just for clarification, you made a comment last time about my future endeavors and wishing me
Yes, I
well.
did.
My future endeavors are here in Saddlebrook for as long as they will have me, and I'm working my tail off with this administrative team to do everything we can for these students. And I'm sorry if sometimes we have to make very difficult, unpopular, and sad decisions along the way. Nobody's happy about having to eliminate busing. It was a difficult decision that we had to make.
Well, it's a decision that I think you could have, done a different way, but that's just my opinion. And as far as the second question goes, all the second questions that I've ever seen, I've never seen a second question go out to a town looking for them to fill positions. I've seen them looking for replace the buildings, build a new grounds, replace air conditioning and all, and
So there are two different types.
You know.
So you can do.
well, like I said, I know that, but I'm saying
Right, you can do
it's-
one, I've seen them many places. Last year, the hottest thing last year was districts seeking money for SLEO 3s. It was happening all over the state of New Jersey. Districts were seeking money for those positions. That's very common. So you have two different types of bonds that you can go out for. You can go out for what you're calling an actual bond referendum, which is what you're referring to, which are large capital projects over 20 years. We have one that's retiring, I believe, in 2022. And then you can go out for positions. So bond referendum is spent over time, like a mortgage. And when you're doing a salaried position, it's one pot that allows us to now grow our base so that we can continue to staff key positions. So there are two different types of questions that you can go out for. You can also go out for layered questions, where if question one doesn't pass, then question two can't pass. So, there's a variety of different ways to go out.
And just from my perspective of town, when you go to ask the people for money, especially as a Board of Ed, because in my tax scheme, our tax scheme, I should say, the Board of Ed is 3/4 of the taxes that we pay, people are just going to think we pay enough towards the Board of Ed, and they're not going to vote for it. So,
Well,
I
that would
wish
be
you
very
luck.
unfortunate for the children.
No, no,
And
really.
Mr. Taylor, just so that you know, I think you know how to get in touch with me. If there's any question that I can answer for you, feel free to call me at any time.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Just to comment on the budget, I know, Mr. Taylor, you've dealt with the budgets on the Budget Committee too. Back, years ago, when we were cutting $1 million, $2 million out of budget, there were capital projects in there and so forth, and maintenance projects that were cut, and we made the budget work every year, because I've been doing this for 12, 13 years now here, and it's getting worse and worse. In 2017-18, we had to transfer almost $200,000 had a surplus, which was our third of our surplus. I've stated this at many meetings, and I projected this past 18-19 to transfer around $300,000. We ended up not transferring because we received energy savings rebates and also additional money from the state for extraordinary aid, which is special ed costs. So if we didn't have that, we would have took probably the rest of our surplus to balance the budget. I am very scared for next year's budget because we have nowhere else to go. That busing was talked about for years. We've talked about other items have come up. I don't know where else we're going to get money if the state doesn't pay us anything. We're so far behind other districts, but I know everybody focuses on one topic, busing, 100,000. If we didn't have Mrs. Shanley's background for curriculum, I mean, she was spread thin, we wouldn't, I don't think we would survive. So yes, we didn't do out the position because we needed money for other non-budgeted items. And I don't know, I keep saying it, the auditor says it, nobody seems to get it. It will be shocking. I'm telling you, next year, if we don't get more money from the state, it will be shocking.
Thank you. Can we have a motion to close? Anybody else from the public want to speak? Sorry. Didn't appear to be. Can I have a motion to close for public comment? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none. Thank you all for coming. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Who's the chair first? I just noticed on the back of the agenda, there's something that I've never noticed before. It says board member requests for additional information. What is that?
Where?
It's at the end of the agenda. I don't know, I've been trying to get rid of that. I don't know. It's been there every meeting. It's been there.
Yes, and basically, if you want to get more information about anything that was discussed during, well, anytime during the meeting, but specifically for public comment.
Yeah, it's on everyone. I have all the copies.
I never looked at the back. I was anxious to get out. What do you want?
Okay. Future board meetings, seeing you interrupted. November 18th is the caucus meeting at 7 p.m. November 20th is the regular meeting at 7 p.m., both of them right here. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No, but I just want to wish those board candidates up here good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck to all. The meeting is adjourned.
They used to be number 10. Are we left?
I don't know. Pick when you're done. I'm probably just cleaning up. I have to go home and finish typing labels. Literally. I mailed out my first 500 today. I mailed out my first 500.